Welcome back to another fabulous tutorial. Going in with the Nerium Day Cream. I am using 4 pumps of this day cream. I absolutely love this, not only for moisture and anti-aging benefits, but also because it gets really nice and tacky, which really helps the makeup stick to the skin. I'm just gently rubbing this in all over, starting with the T-zone. We're going in next with the NYX Proof It. This is a waterproof eyeshadow base. I'm just using the applicator to put this on both eyes. I'm going to blend in with my ring finger, which gives the softest pressure to the eyes. I'm blending from the lash line all the way up to the lid right under the brow. And I love this primer because not only is it waterproof, but once it's set, it does not move. We're going in with the Airspun Extra Coverage Translucent Powder. We are just putting this on both of the lids, but we're tapping out to make sure that there are no creases of that primer before we put on the translucent powder. This gives us a really great blendable area to make sure that there's no wetness on the eye from that primer whatsoever. So we're just gently tapping this in all over. You can find this at Walgreens. We're going in with the Saharan palette from Juvia's Place. We are going to use this really warm transition. I'm working this on a Morphe fluffy brush. This is a natural hair brush. I'm starting in the outer corner and we're gently blending this back and forth in a windshield wiper motion. And I'm using a very light hand for this. I'm not using very heavy strokes. Again, we want to make sure that this is really blended and seamless. We just don't want to make sure that we have any hard lines whatsoever. So starting with a transition shade ensures that we don't have any sort of differential between any of the colors. We just want to make it look perfect. Going into the Masquerade palette, also by Juvia's Place, and we are going to use the exact same natural hair brush. I'm going to tap the excess off. Again, we're starting in the outer corner with this warm brown. We're working this from outer corner to inner corner, again with a very light hand to avoid any sort of hard lines. And we're keeping this color a little bit lower than our initial transition. I have hooded eyes, so I just want to make sure that we take it a little bit higher, but since the transition is there, we're using this color just to deepen the crease. We're going in with the Saharan palette, again by Juvia's Place. I'm using a flat synthetic brush, tapping off the excess. We are going in with this gorgeous pink color. Do not be afraid of color. Just because it's not your typical browns or blacks or neutrals does not mean that it can't still be just beautiful and a little bit different. And I just love this pink shimmer shade for spring and summer, moving into all of these warmer months. So I'm just tapping this all over the lower lid. I'm not taking this above the crease. Next, we're going into the Nubian palette, and we are going to again tap off the excess, but we're using a golden shade this time. So I just kind of wanted to blend those two shimmer shades together. I didn't want it to be way too pink, just wanted to give a little bit of a hint of pink with a little bit of gold over to match our gorgeous lip color. Again, in this Nubian palette by Juvia's Place, by the way, these palettes are absolutely amazing. They are so pigmented and fabulous. But I'm working this on a separate brush. This one is a little more flat. I'm using it in the outer corner to deepen the outer edges of my eye and give a lot of definition and dimension to our eye look. This also will give the illusion that my eyes are a little bit bigger and makes them not look like they are hiding behind all of those shimmer shades. So I'm using again a very soft hand, starting in the outer corner and flicking it right up gently into the crease about halfway. So I'm doing a mixture of packing and patting. We're going back into the Nubian, again in this brown shade. We're using a different brush, a natural hair brush that's a little bit smaller, again to deepen up that crease. Again, always a soft hand. If you want a really blended, seamless eye look without a lot of hard lines, then you need to go with a really soft hand. So don't go so hard with your brush. Next, we're going back in with our original fluffy brush that we use in the beginning of the eye look. I did not add any extra product to the brush. I'm using whatever is left to just blend out the edges of all of those beautiful brown shades to make sure that everything is very cohesive. Next, on a cotton round, I'm going to use the Benefit Makeup Remover. I have folded the cotton round in half. I'm gently patting going under my eyes to make sure that we are taking away any of the fallout from the shadows we used from the eye look. Next, we are going to line our eyes with the Tarte Clay Pot. I'm using this on a MAC brush. Again, I'm just gently going over the lash line. I'm going with very soft strokes to make sure that we get a really nice line and I don't get too close to my eyelash extensions. I know that sounds funny, but sometimes it gets in there and it gets on the top of my eye. So I'm just going very, very gently. I go all the way across the eye. It is totally your preference, whether you want to do liner or don't want to do liner at all, or go halfway or all the way. There's really no right or wrong to your eyeliner. It's totally personal preference. I'm also using brown because black can be a little bit hard at times, and with this brown warm undertone eye, just wanted to make sure that we did something a little bit softer than a regular black. Next, we are going in with a pencil brush. I believe this is from Luxie Beauty, and I am smudging out our eyeliner to give us a little bit of a softer look. I'm just taking this right over that wet liner, and this does dry very, very quickly. You just have to make sure that you work fast to make sure that you are smudging it before it dries. We're going to prime the face next with our Cover FX Illuminating Primer. I love this primer. Not only does it give a really, really beautiful illuminated look, but it is the perfect base for our foundation. I am just taking this, I think I did about a pea-sized amount, but I'm just taking this all over the face. I always work the T-zone first and then go outward. Next, we are going in with the Josie Maran Argan Oil Foundation. I am using a Morphe buffing brush, and I am gently patting this. I'm doing a mixture of patting and circular motions, but I'm just gently patting this all over the face. As you can see, I have a lot of natural redness, and I'm just gently going to pat, 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 pat. The more that you swirl this around, the less coverage you get, so I like a little bit more of a full coverage face. So I'm just patting this in place rather than doing a ton of swirling motions. I absolutely love this foundation, which I will use for most of the summer. If you are oily, skin toned, or combination oily, I'm not sure that I would recommend this for you. I'm not sure how that would do, but I'm more normal to dry at times. So this is a perfect foundation for me. And I love the natural radiance it gives my skin. I'm going in with two different concealers. I'm going to start with the Maybelline Fit Me in Light, and I'm also going in with the Tarte Shape Tape in Light Neutral. I like both of these, and I'm using both of them and kind of mixing them together because I wanted to just give more dimension to the face. So I went ahead and tapped on the Fit Me first, and then I'm doing a couple of little swatches there right over it with the Tarte Shape Tape. I'm using a damp Morphe blender, and I'm using the backside first as I go across the tops of my cheekbones, and then you'll see me flip around my beauty blender there and to get those inner quarters. And I'm just tapping very, very gently. I love the Beauty Blender for tapping out my concealer. Not only does it help me give a really beautiful, flawless finish to the concealer, but it also absorbs any of the excess. So that you saw, I went ahead and put it in a triangular motion under the eyes. I also went a little bit on the chin and down the nose and the forehead. Going back in with the Airspun Full Coverage Translucent Powder. Again, you can just pick this up. I think it's in the nail section of Walgreens, but I'm using this on another Morphe brush. I'm tapping this under the eyes. I'll also take it on the chin, down my nose, and on the forehead. And you can also see that I tapped out the concealer again with my finger before I went in with this powder. You want to make sure that as your eyes are moving before it is set, that you make sure that you don't have any lines or creases where it's kind of settled before you can set it, because once you set it, it will not move, and any of those creases that are there will stay there. MAC Mineralized Skin Finish is next. I'm going to set my face with a large powder brush. I'm just pouncing this on, and I'm putting this everywhere that I did not put the concealer. I believe this is in the shade Medium Golden, and I'm just tapping this and buffing this all over to give a little bit more warmth to the skin, but also to set wherever we did not put the concealer to make sure everything is just beautiful, an airbrush look. And then we're going over the cheeks. We went down the neck. Always don't forget your neck. We're taking it across the forehead. and we're also taking it to the sides of the nose so the middle of the face doesn't look like it's all one color. We're going to bronze next with the Too Faced Dark Chocolate Soleil on a really fluffy synthetic bronzer brush. I'm using the top of my ear as a guide, and I'm gently swirling this and buffing this right across my cheekbone area. I'll list what brush this is in the comments. Again, this is from Morphe. I don't love this brush because it sheds, but it does give a beautiful payoff when using it with my bronzer. So not only did I take the bronzer across my cheekbones, but I'm also going to take it across the forehead for warmth. Going back over, I also hit the sides of the nose, again, to make sure that the middle of the face has dimension. You can take this down the neck too. I wouldn't add any extra product to take it down the neck, but just to give yourself a little bit more warmth. We're going in with a MAC blush. We are using the shade Stay Pretty. It's a really beautiful soft pink. It's not going to give us a ton of color, but just a little bit to kind of brighten up those cheekbones and the apples of the cheek. I'm using a MAC dual fiber brush. I love a dual fiber for a blush. Now we're going to highlight the face with the KYLIE Bible and BH Cosmetics palette. I'm using this second golden shade, and I'm also going into that really light peach on this very, very fluffy highlighting brush from Luxie. I'm tapping this all over the cheekbones. I'm also taking it down the apples of the cheek. You'll kind of see me take this all over the highlight points of my face. I really like a dewy and illuminated look to my makeup. I don't like a totally matte face, so I'm taking this all over the high points. If you are oily or combination oily, I would only use this on places that you're a little bit more dry. So if you're normally more oily in your T-zone, then I would stray away from highlighting your T-zone, as this can just make you look more oily or make your skin look more wet. Now I'm going in with the Benefit Goof Proof Pencil in a shade 2. I'm grooming my brows upward to start with the spoolie that's attached. Ladies, do not forget your brows. They give your face so much definition, and they'll just make your eyes look bigger. And literally without brows, I don't know what I ever did without brows, but literally I'm just taking this right across my natural hairline. I'm also extending the tail a tiny bit. This brow comes a little bit higher than the others, so I have to fill in the bottom a little bit more, but I really, really love these pencils, and they are totally comparable to the Anastasia brow definers if you have used those before. I'm also leaving the inner part of my brow a lot lighter, so we're just wanting that to fade from the outer corner to the inner corner of the brows, and again, we're just extending the tail, and we're just making sure that they're really nice, as even as possible, and then we'll come back through and groom them up just to blend out some of that pencil there. And then we are going to set our brows with the Anastasia brow gel, which I really love this as well. This is pretty much like hairspray for your eyebrows. So if you have brows that go awry, check out a brow gel, and the Anastasia is amazing, and they will stay the entire day. We're going to highlight our underbrow. We're back in the Nubian palette by Juvia's Place. This is a shimmer shade that I'm using under my brow on a very soft, fluffy brush. And I love this because it has a little bit of a pink undertone that you probably can't see in the video, but I just love how this just makes my brows look a little bit higher. I'm also going to pop this on the inner corners and the inner C's of my eye just to make it look a little bit brighter. Then we are going to use a darker brown shade on a pencil brush. Again, we're back in the Nubian palette by Juvia's Place. I don't typically love pencils for the lower lash line because I feel like on me they move a lot, and I feel like when I use these shadows in particular that they really do well with staying in place because they're so pigmented. We're using the Tarte Lifted Sweatproof Mascara. I also have issues even with waterproof mascaras moving under my eyes, and I definitely don't want anything to be moving throughout the day. And I got this little mascara from Tarte as a trial, and it's a black brown, but it's amazing and it literally doesn't move. So as I've been using it on wedding days and just throughout the day, I have found that I absolutely love it. We're going in with the Urban Decay 24/7 pencil in just a nude, and we're just filling in our waterline. Please excuse how hard I'm pulling my lower lash line. I didn't even realize that until I watched the video back after editing it, but real life, people, real life. So we're just popping this to give a little bit of a brighter look. Okay, you girls picked it. So we're going in with the Kim Kardashian West and KYLIE Cosmetics. The chosen choice for a lip color was Kimberly, so that's what I'm popping on first. And I did find after putting it on, I absolutely love this cream formula. It's like a whipped mousse, but I needed something with a little bit more color for this eye look and this makeup look, so I'm going over it with the shade Kimmy. Even though these don't dry down like a typical liquid lipstick, I still found that they're really, really smooth and buttery, and that they're typically long lasting as I wore this throughout the evening and also as I wore it over the weekend. I just really, really love them. So it was such a good find, and I'm so glad I got my hands on it. Last but not least, set that face, girls. I am using the Cover FX Illuminating Setting Spray all over to set. And that, you guys, is the finished look. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Don't be afraid to play with color. Thanks for watching. Bye!